Announcements?
Yes, I'd like to pull the March minutes from the consent calendar. I'd like the lab appointments to be separate by library when we vote on them. And I will ask the acting library director to speak to the heat issue or the lack of heat at Roseland since January and the progress that's been made. Thank you.
So you're pulling the minutes. Which minutes? Oh, the agenda item for the minutes.
Yeah.
Is that the only? That's
Number
only? 10. Okay, 10.1.
Yeah, the March 19th minutes from the consent calendar.
So that leaves the February 26 minutes there on the consent calendar. Okay. And you want to the lab appointments, item 14.1.
They all put together in one motion. I want separate motions. I am requesting separate motions by library.
Okay.
And number 3, I would like the acting director to comment on the lack of heat since January. Where are we in that process during her management report?
Okay.
Thank you.
And the only other announcement that I have is to everybody speak into their microphones so that the closed captioning will work properly. Are there any other announcements? Okay, so that takes us to public appearances, item number 3. Did you want to step forward and speak to us? Wait, hold on just a second. Is his... Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. My name is John Janssens, and I'm the new town manager in Windsor. So I wanted to drop in tonight and introduce myself. I also serve on your library advisory board. So we haven't had a meeting recently, but I'm looking forward to getting involved in that. So I thought since I'm here, I would introduce myself and allow you to ask any questions you might have about Windsor or about my position there. Otherwise, I'll keep it short. So thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming down and introducing yourself. Commissioner McKenzie, did you have a question?
Yeah, it's wonderful that you made this appearance. I appreciate your coming down. You want to give us any kind of update about the Windsor's long-term plans for a new branch? We've heard a little bit about from our commissioner, but maybe you know more.
Sure. Just briefly, there's been a long-held vision to build out all 4 sides of the town green. And so we've been taking some steps in that direction this past year in seeking a master developer that can help us with the northern side of the green area. And so that primarily affects the Huerta Gymnasium. But long-term, as we look at relocating town office buildings and other activities north of the green, there's the potential that it would at some point impact the existing library and that we'd be searching for a new location in town for a new library. So it's all very forward-looking and very long-term. But we hope that over the next several years that we can make some meaningful progress that we'd be able to brief you on and see how it impacts the Windsor branch.
Great, thank you. Any other comments or questions, Commissioner Neff?
The Windsor Lab is a week from tomorrow at 5 p.m.
Okay.
At the library.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to come down and meet us.
I wish you all well. I hope you have a good meeting tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So do we.
Are any other members of the public who wish to address the commission regarding items not on the agenda?
Hello, my name is Dwayne DeWitt. I'm from Roseland. Today there was a wonderful day at the Roseland Library. The kids were out for spring break, and there was a presentation that was being put on by a couple of young folks about circuses. It was really nice. And I think that the Roseland Library is probably one of the best things that has happened to Roseland in my entire life. And I come here because I want you to keep it alive. Now, you probably don't know some of the inner workings, and because I'm just a member of the public, I'm sure I am underinformed. But we do know that a building has been leased by the Sonoma County Community Development Commission with a year temporary use permit for a navigation center for people who are homeless and will be leaving the Roseland Village site. Now, when that's finished, that building, which is owned by Mid-Peninsula Housing now, it's the old Roseland hardware store, will be vacant, and it would be an excellent place where you could have a temporary location for the Roseland Library as the development of the Roseland Village shopping project. Well, excuse me, it's not a shopping center anymore. The Roseland Village project goes forward. So, as we understand it out there in Roseland, the county and Mid-Peninsula Housing have been talking for quite some time about how they will be, sometime in the future, developing a housing project on the site. And when they do that, then the existing building that the Roseland Library is in will be vacated and then over time demolished. So what we're hoping for, myself and many others in Roseland who are seeking the best, if you will, is a way that you can keep the library as long as possible, because they don't have to start their construction at that spot. There's other things they could be doing. So keep the building that they're in and the library right now as long as possible. And then be in the process of perhaps negotiating with Mid-Peninsula Housing to transfer the library to the building that they have. It's called the Roseland Hardware Store. It's right next to where we're at right now. It's a real simple process, perhaps, but it will only happen if you take the lead. Myself and others out in the community, we're trying to find donors that'll put forward money so we can actually get an independent, freestanding library separate from the Boys and Girls Club. We believe especially that the Boys and Girls Club need to have a nice place to play, a big place like Boys and Girls Club over in Montgomery Village, which has its own basketball court. So please excuse me for dreaming big, but that's what we're going to keep doing the rest of my time that I know of, and we hope you can help us with that. Number one, Roseland Library as long as possible, then into the temporary site, and then a really nice big new library when we go for it. Thank you so much for your time. I'll put this down for you.
Thank you. Any comments? Commissioner McKenzie?
Yes.
Could I ask you just a question? I'm not sure I understood. So were you saying the Community Development Commission is going to create a navigation center for the homeless in this hardware store?
Yes.
And then that's just going to be very temporary?
Yes.
And then once they get everybody placed, that hardware store will be vacant?
Right, but they have a 12-month use permit already has been granted by the City of Santa Rosa to the Community Development Commission.
Okay.
So that kind of lets you feel that they expect that building to be on site for a full year. And it's just one of those things, if we could meld everybody's efforts together, we could get the best possible situation for the kids in Roseland. Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And at this time, we are going to go into closed session for two items. Item 4.1, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9, D2, and 4.2, conference with labor negotiators pursuant to California Government Code Section 54957.6. And I don't have an estimate, apologize for how long this might take. So we will reconvene when we're done. Thank you. 8:35. So 5.1, report on closed session, Government Code Section 54957.1. Commissioner McKenzie recused herself from the discussion and was not in the room. During the result of the meeting for that item was that directions were provided to the chair to work with staff to send out letters on the matters discussed. Reporting on item 5.2, Government Code Section 54957.1. No decisions were made at that session, so nothing to report. Moving on to, there are no library advisory boards or friends groups here tonight to present to the commission, so that takes us to item 7, the special presentation on the new digital services and databases brochure. Angelina Hernandez, and thank you so much. And I apologize for how long we took, and thank you all for waiting patiently for us.
All right. So good evening. I'm just here to share with you all our new digital services and databases brochure. So this came, we heard from a few commissioners who were really interested in having a brochure, and patrons and library staff as well, that would detail the digital services and databases that are able to be accessed with your library card. So a lot of these folks can access them directly online. So just wanted to share this with you. It is brand new. We just finalized it last week, and I wanted to be able to share it with you before we went to print. So that way you could get your eyes on it. So I believe, I'm sorry, I know some of you received it late on Friday, but I also printed them out for you. So just wanted to share that with you. It's not exhaustive. We have a number more databases and digital services. So this was a collaborative effort of many staff members, including our digital branch and marketing teams. So we really drawed on digital services and databases that are most used by patrons. And this is something that is kind of a living document. We will update annually, just depending on the different services that we receive, or if we change vendors, that sort of thing. And then on the back side, there's information about how to download our app, and the different, just kind of how to get started using services, making sure folks understand you have to have access to internet and that sort of thing. So just to clear up any confusions if they're having challenges.
It looks terrific. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner May.
Yes, there's one on here that's my favorite that isn't on here, which is Novelist. And I know a lot of people use it just because you want to find books by whatever. And I had another idea, but I can't remember what it is now.
Yeah, we did have it on there. It was one of those that it's been tough trying to figure out which ones, but thank you for that feedback.
Commissioner McKenzie.
I'm so glad to see all this consolidated in one place instead of the individual flyers. So number one, that's great, and thank you. My question was, since you're going to be updating this, I would really like to see dates on things. So.
Oh, I thought we did have,
that way
well, this isn't, like I said, we haven't gone to print yet, so these are just printed for you all. Catherine was out today, so I'm sure we did have that in one of our, it's just not on this one, but we will have the date on there,
okay.
So thank you.
And then my other thing is I'm still confused about Overdrive because I thought we were phasing out Overdrive, but it's still in here.
Maybe Vicki, you can give more details on that?
Yeah, or Jamie.
Or Jamie?
Okay, so you want to turn me on over here, please? Okay, so can you hear me all right? So Overdrive we still subscribe to Overdrive ebooks. We have discontinued most, if not all, Overdrive e-audio books. We are in a contractual situation till 2019. April 2019 with Overdrive. So they're both ebooks, and so we'll continue to serve our patrons with both with both Overdrive and Access 360 ebooks, and particularly the Access 360 e-audio. We're also rolling out a new service of Spanish titles in ebooks and e-audio. It's called Odillo, and I think shortly we're going to go live with that. And is it on here already? Yeah.
It went live today.
It did go live today. I wasn't sure if it did or not. So, and then I want to speak to the novelist issue because that's very important. First of all, Novelist and Novelist Select are hitched right to the library's catalog. So if you search for a title in the library's online catalog, if you scroll down, you can see which holdings there are. And if you scroll down further, you can get information about the books, other books like this book, and it's connected right to the existing titles. So you don't have to access it separately. You can, but because it's linked directly to all the titles, both ebooks and typical print books, it's in there. It's already hooked to. So if you wanted to read a nonfiction book about something, and if you like this, if you go right down to the bottom of that screen, it'll give you other titles like this that are both in the library or maybe not in the library as you're doing the searching. So we do have that it's sort of embedded in the library online catalog, in the Enterprise Find catalog.
Okay, since we're here, I'll be very quick. The reason I use Novelist is I've discovered a mystery writer I like, and I want to read them in order. And so I can go to Novelist and find out what the first book is in the series and the second. Not because I want a book that's like something else, but I want the order of the books.
Right, and you can still find that embedded within the library catalog. So if you found an author that you already like, you can scroll down in that author and it'll show you exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, I have one other quick question. What's Libby?
Okay, so Libby is the online, is the software application now that you should be using with Overdrive. So there was a little blue app that was with an O in it. So this replaces that application.
I know, but it's not on the list here.
So Overdrive is on the list, and Libby is part of that.
Okay.
That's just the name of their app. It isn't, that's what they call it, Libby, as for library, short for but Libby. Yeah.
Okay.
So they just rolled that out. Overdrive has been bought up by a Japanese company, incidentally, and so there are a lot of changes going on at the Overdrive level.
So if commissioners have further questions about these things, who should they contact?
You can email me.
Contact you, Angelina. Okay. So any more quick comments? And then I just want to encourage everybody to share this with their friends. I periodically send stuff out to my friends, and they're like, wow, I didn't know that was at the library. So it gets a lot of interest, and thank you so much.
Yes.
This looks terrific.
Great.
It would be
thank
good
you.
to share it with our appointing bodies also.
Yes, so when we do order prints, I have a separate print order aside for sharing it with labs.
I mean, the
The JPA
City
members,
councils.
city council.
Oh, yes, absolutely, we could do that as well.
And,
Right.
and I might have missed this. Is this online too?
Not yet.
PDF?
It's not yet, but
Okay.
when we have it online, like I said, we just finished it, and so once we get it done, then we can absolutely add it
excellent.
online.
Okay, great.
Yes. And then I also shared with you just our newest
updated.
version of the welcome brochure and in Spanish for you all just to have. There wasn't any kind of huge changes, so it's not going to look completely different to the one you had before, but there were some tweaks, and then, of course, updating our hours and that sort of thing.
These are terrific, and I hold them up to people as good examples of brochures.
Oh, great. Well,
very
thank
good.
you. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that. And
Thank
I'll
you
share
so
that
much.
with Catherine. She'll
Yes, thank
appreciate
you.
hearing that. All right. Thank you, guys.
So we're moving on to item 8.1, commissioner reports, and then the commission and liaison reports. And I just want to again, encourage commissioners to try to be, say what's important, but try to be brief. We're running late already. So starting with Commissioner Neff.
The Windsor Lab will meet Tuesday, a week from tomorrow at 5 p.m.
Thank you. Commissioner Foxen.
I've totally forgotten what I was going to say, but it wasn't much, so.
Commissioner Heavenridge.
I've submitted 2 new lab members to the Guerneville Lab for approval. I missed it by an hour, I think, getting it in this one. So it'll be in next commission meeting. We'll have it. Yay.
Commissioner May.
Nothing.
And I'll just quickly say that I attended, what am I saying? The lab will meet on Wednesday coming up, and I attended the foundation meeting, which I'll report on a little bit later. Commissioner.
Sorry. I attended the Santa Rosa Lab on March 28th. I'm always continually amazed by the reports from the branch managers. There's so many wonderful things going on. I will relay that on Saturday, April 7th, at the Veterans Memorial is the Friends of the Santa Rosa Library's book fair. So I encourage people to go there, buy books, raise money for the library. And on Sunday, April 8th, of course, is Half Price Day. So that's all I have.
Commissioner Garcia.
The foundation meets April 18th, and I will be there.
Commissioner McKenzie.
I met with the Friends of the Library Board on March the 20th, and just 2 quick things. One is they're extremely happy and delighted and looking forward to requests for money to be spent on our branch. They're really looking forward to restoring that kind of connection. And secondly, they would like to have a tour of the new headquarters. Thank you.
No report.
No report.
All right, thank you. So moving on to 8.2.1, director evaluation, there's no report this time, and that takes us to finance 8.2.2. Commissioner McKenzie.
We haven't met since the last commission meeting, which was, just 2 weeks ago.
So when is your next meeting?
We will resume our normal meeting time, which is the 3rd Monday of the month at 3 o'clock, and they are moved now henceforth to headquarters in Runner Park.
8.2.3, Advocacy Committee, Commissioner Foxen.
We haven't met since the last meeting. Our next meeting is April 9th at the headquarters.
Thank you. And the Foundation Liaison, and that is my report. So I want to say I enjoyed going to the Foundation meeting very much, and they asked me questions about being a commissioner and what the commission does, and we talked about this group getting together to further work to improve communications between the commission and the foundation and the library in general. And to that end, we have formed a small ad hoc committee from the library, which is composed of David Ebright, Tim May, Reese Foxen, and myself for the time being. We're currently working with Jane Clickman, who is in touch with Adriana Aziz. How do you say her last name? She's the president, Arizona, thank you, the president of the foundation, to find a date. We're hoping to meet this month. And our first topic of discussion will be to explore the publicity around the free bookmobile. And I think that's all I have to report. That takes us to the 8.2.5 Ad Hoc Standard Operating Procedures Committee.
And I'm in the middle of cleaning it up, and I hope to have it to Helena and Tom first of next week and on to you guys by the end of the month or next meeting.
Terrific, thank you. And then Measure Y Oversight, they gave the report last time. There hasn't been a meeting since, so I'm assuming there's no report. Then the Ad Hoc Director Search Committee, I got an update from the consultant. She has received about 13 resumes, and I did want to correct, I was misunderstanding the question. The meeting the week of the 16th is for the selection committee to review the final list of candidates. So I don't think I think I'm a little confused about what we're scheduling. I don't believe that we're going to be presenting that list. I don't think it'll be ready to present to the commission by the 16th. So I'm thinking that anyway, I'll talk to Suzanne, and we will together send an email and clarify what the strategy is. I'm looking at the calendar here, and then I was looking at all that still needs to be done, and I'm not sure that we're prepared to meet on the April 16th, but we'll get this straightened out this week, right? Okay, thank you. So that takes us to the consent calendar and item 10.1, budget workshop and regular meeting minutes. And we had the request to take March 19th minutes off of the consent calendar. So if there's no objection to the minutes for February 26th, seeing none from the commission, those are accepted by the commission. And we'll move March 19th down to discussion items after the management report. So that takes us to item 11.1, interim director's report. Director Gray?
Just a brief update. Vicki Turbovich, Kathy DeWeese, and I attended the Public Library Association conference 2 weeks ago in Philadelphia. There was a blizzard while we were there. A lot of the participants didn't make it. We did. We were lucky. Great conference, great keynote speakers, meeting colleagues around the country. It's a national conference that happens every 2 years. So it was really rewarding to go and hear what other libraries are doing. And then I was asked to give an update on Roseland, and all what I have to report, I reached out to the affordable housing manager today, left him a voicemail. He didn't phone me back today, but the last 2 emails were, the latest was from March 15th, that General Services was they were getting an estimate to install a permanent HVAC replacement. They were getting an estimate from a vendor to provide temporary heating. And then the last email, our facility staff has been reaching out to them regularly for updates. And the last one dated March 27th, that the CDC has been working to get a plan in place that will meet fire code and at the same time overtax the building's inadequate power supply grid. The CDC has finalized arrangements to install temporary heating as soon as possible. It will involve using a rented generator as the electrical system in the community center because the community center is unable to handle the required load. He did say that this will have to wait until the encampment is closed down, which they are hoping to have the encampment behind the building vacated after tomorrow. Because he had said the equipment needs to be installed in the back, and there's no way of getting that equipment there right now with the encampment. As soon as we have access to the rear of the building, they will install the temporary heating equipment. So we're hoping that'll happen maybe by the end of the week.
I have a question or a clarification. Have you reached out to the staff in Roseland? Has anybody talked to the staff at Roseland?
And on the emails, the branch manager of Roseland has been copied on all correspondence.
Have you talked to the employees there? Has anybody in the management team talked to the employees and told them what's going on?
I have forwarded all of the correspondence to the branch manager so that it's up to the branch manager to inform their staff of anything in the building. So I've copied the branch
So
manager.
you're confident that the branch manager is reaching?
I will reach out, but that is part of their job to relay information to their staff, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Okay.
And then I have one other update. Somebody had asked about the DACA resolution, and it does fall within the provision of library services. It is within the jurisdiction of the commission. The whole commission would need to approve the resolution in open session, and it would be up to the commission if you all wanted to have it as a discussion item first, to discuss, to make sure all of the commission, or just have it as an action item and vote. So that is the status of that.
Great, thank you. All right, that takes us to any comments about the written management report, questions for staff? Nope. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner McKenzie.
Yeah, just briefly, I was curious about collection HQ update. I was pleased that our rate of people reading the materials seems to be better than the normal. But I noticed under acquisitions that we're getting an average of 320 boxes a month, or 69 per week, and it's, huge amount coming in. I wondered if there was any estimates on what that was going to be under the new budget. So it seems like a lot of materials coming in.
When you say under the new budget, can you clarify what you mean by that?
Well, currently we're getting in 69 boxes a week on acquisitions, and our collection or budget is going down for materials under the forthcoming budget that we're about to approve. Wondered if you had any sense of how much that was going to lower
For next fiscal year?
Yeah.
I don't have a concrete sense yet because we haven't allocated that budget out in terms of how much we're going to spend on books versus AV versus electronic resources. There could be no impact. It could be minor. It's only a 5% reductions monetarily, so I wouldn't expect it to be drastic.
But we're staying on top of the 69 boxes per week, but just...
We are catching up right now.
We're catching up, okay.
Yeah, we do have a backlog and we're trying to catch up.
Okay, great. That's why I know. Thank you.
Since you're at the microphone, Jamie, so is the process going smoothly at HQ to process the books as opposed to how it used to be done? And
Yes, it is so much better.
Okay. So how much do you think the time is cut in half as to how long it takes to get everything in and out?
I don't have metrics on that right now. I mean, I can speak to the benefits of the space, making things more efficient, but because we're just now getting fully staffed, because when we were at Central, we didn't have the room to bring in the staff that we had allocated for this fiscal year. So that's why we're catching up right now, but we are now fully staffed. So I anticipate being able to catch up fairly quickly.
That's really thanks to Measure Y money, huh? Isn't
Yes.
it? That's made that possible. So thank you so much. And I just want to quickly comment, as usual, reading through the report of activities is just always truly amazing to me. And it's so wonderful to read about all these programs and the Educator Card Initiative and how much is being done with that. So I just, again, thank you and kudos to all of you. So that takes us to the financial report, which is 11.2.2, the monthly financial report.
Right, it starts on page 39. Just a couple things to point out. There were just three items way down at the bottom of the page at 39 that were over 25,000 and so reported there. one of the more interesting things, the month overall was just a pretty normal month. But one of the more interesting things is if you look at page 45, the very top line, that's the sales and use tax revenue. If you look at the percent remaining, it's 33.3%, and through February, we're 67 or 66.7% through the year. So it's tracking almost exactly. It's kind of eerie in a way, but so we'll see how it ends up. So I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Commissioner May.
My question regards the reporting of the amounts of money over $25,000. We're going to have a $35,510 rent payment every month.
Right.
Do we need to have that reported over? I mean, as the commission, do we need to know about that every month? Or
Well, there's a policy. There's a policy that requires that anything over $25,000 be reported like this. Are you suggesting we go back and review that policy?
Are we making an exception to the policy for this particular item?
I think we would have to go back and change the policy.
Right. Right now, we're just reporting what the policy says.
Okay.
And the one question I thought you were going to ask me, Commissioner May, was you had a question last month about...
yes, that item, yes. Materials? Or?
It was... Where was it? Shoot, I should have marked it. It was for the mending and bindery supplies, and I told you I had to look into that, and I did look into it, and it was a miscoding. Almost all of the expenses should have been in the books materials budget, and so we're getting that fixed for, it probably won't show up till April, but it was just one key, missed a number there, so thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So that takes us to
12.1.
Oh, yeah. 12.1. Yeah, it takes us to that's not it. We would have to approve it by motion, so that's down below under item 12. Sorry, I misspoke. It's action items by motion. So that takes us to 12.1, approve final budget for 2018-2019.
Right. So that begins on page 48. There were no changes from the last meeting. What was that, March 19th meeting, I believe?
Yes.
And the only addition is something that I talked about at that meeting, and it's page 72. And it's a really rough budget for the special revenue funds, as we talked about. There's 4 columns there: the Friends and Foundation, library bequest, the wine library, and miscellaneous donations. And really, it's an operational thing more than anything. We're obviously going to be talking to the Friends and Foundation in the next few months to talk about what they would like to provide for us for materials and events and things. These estimates are so that the finance department can get the budgets into the accounting system so we can continue to pay bills out of them. If we don't have a budget there, everything stops. So that's what that page is.
Great, thanks for pointing that out. Makes sense that you would have to do that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay, all in favor? Oh, certainly.
I will say once again, I don't think the general public deserves more hours than what we're giving to them. And I simply make that statement to be recorded in the minutes that to not have more hours than just the Saturday hours, it will happen this Saturday, of 2 hours is a disservice, and that we really should consider, or the commission should consider, adding more hours slowly before the 2019-2020 budget. Thank you.
Any other comments about the budget? Commissioner McKenzie.
I would just say again, I thought this was by far and away the best process that we have been through as this commission. And I really appreciate all the staff work. We're coming in early. It's only April. And, I'm just really impressed with everything that has happened. So I thank you, Ken and Tracy, for listening to the commission, our priorities, giving us answers on everything, and all the staff that worked on it. It's a great job.
I'll second that.
Yes, thank you. It was a smooth process, and we appreciate it. Commissioner May.
Not to beat a dead horse, but if members of the commission feel that we need some sort of method to deal with unserved aspects of the county, one of which might be a bookmobile, when the commission gets priorities next year, that would be something that they would need to remember to get into a budget for the next year, a priority of serving underserved areas. That's it.
Okay.
Since I won't be here.
All right. So all in favor of the motion that's on the table to approve the 2018-2019 operating and special revenue budgets as presented? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so that takes us to 12.2, approve the collection, development, and management policy. I can find it. 12.2.
Hi, I don't know if you all have any questions about this since we looked at it last time, but I'm here to answer any questions if you have them.
Right, so just to remind the commissioners, this item was on the agenda last meeting, and the commission provided some feedback and some changes were made based on that. So any comments?
I don't know that the suggestion or question I asked was changed. It was the detail on the very last page, page 80 of the Library Commission has final decision about retaining or removing the item that a patron requests to be reconsidered. The question that I had brought up last time is that, I guess maybe final decision, but it sort of implies that all the contested items come to the commission for final approval. And my experience has been it's only the ones that continue to be contested. Do you remember when we talked about this last time? Yeah. That only, in all my years there's been one book that came to the commission for final decision. But I'm sure there have been a lot of books before that time or materials that were challenged. But I think probably what happened is people accepted the decision of the staff and didn't request to take it to the commission level. So I had talked about that last time, but it doesn't look like that's been changed.
Yes, I changed the sentence before that, which
Okay.
was another piece of your feedback, I think,
Right.
about that the item will remain in the active collection during the entire review process,
Right.
not just
Right.
as it gets to the commission.
It seems to me that, I don't know whether we use the word like the complainer, or there's a better word, has the right to take it to a commission for final decision, or, something along those lines. There is an implication here that we decide on a commission all the books that have been challenged.
Okay.
So maybe if it said after appealing the process and and not
Right.
having the book removed. The patron can also submit their appeal to the library commissioner who has a final decision, something like that.
So there's two appeals built
Right.
into the process. It's not described fully here. It's in that separate procedure. One to the library director, and then a second one to the library commission.
Where is that? What page?
Page 79.
So the section 5 called reconsideration of materials at the bottom of page 79
Right.
that references a request for reconsideration of library resources form. That form walks one through the entire process, including all the appeals that are built in to that procedure.
So that those are all contained in the form. So maybe attaching the form to this process or policy, or is that crossing over to between procedures and policy?
Would it work to change number 4, at the bottom of page 80, to the library commission? Let's see, a member of the public has the right to appeal.
To the library commission, who will make the final decision.
Yeah.
Something along those lines, and then I can approve, then I would approve it. A member of the public has the right to appeal to the library commission for a final decision regarding the retaining or removing of the item.
Yes, that's all number 4 is trying to say.
Right.
Is that's the last stop.
Right.
If you follow the train all the way to the end.
Right. I would say that the member of the public has the right to appeal to the commission who will make the final decision. Something along those lines. Given those words, I will vote yes. But I don't want to have to decide on every book that's...
Would you like me to bring this back next time, or would you like to still vote on it tonight with the modified sentence?
I'll be happy to vote on it with the modified sentence. And I trust you to modify it in the appropriate way.
Okay.
Okay, so do I have a motion?
I so move. Second.
So the motion was by Commissioner Hauser, seconded by Commissioner Heavenridge. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? None. Great, thank you, Jamie.
Okay, good job. Thank you.
All right, so then the next item is 12.3, salary schedules for represented and non-represented classifications. Do I have a motion?
I so move.
Second. It was a tie. Give it to David Ebright.
Okay, so it was moved by Commissioner Heavenridge, seconded by Commissioner Ebright. Discussion, comments? Questions? All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? No, abstention. Commissioner Howell, sorry. And that takes us to item 12.4, one-time payments for Y-rated SEIU members as listed in Appendix A of the agreement. Do I have a motion?
So move for discussion.
Second. So Mackenzie and Hauser. Comments, questions, statements?
I'll just give a brief how we got here type of thing. A few years ago, there was a salary study, and there were about 6 or 7 employees who were Y-rated. So they did not get the a couple of the COLAs that we agreed to with SEIU. The union came back to us a few months ago and asked us to sit down and discuss this again, and came up with a proposal to do a lump sum payment for these individuals for the COLA that would not add to their base salary. That's something that we as administration agreed to and worked up the amounts, and that's what is here. That's how we got here. These, like I said, they were longer-term employees, or they probably wouldn't have been Y-rated in the first place. And I think that's about all the history. I don't know if you have any questions.
Comments or questions?
I have a question. What percentage of the COLA over the last 2 years would, if they had gotten it, would this represent? Is this 100% of the COLA they didn't get, or 10%?
It's 100% of the COLA they did not get.
Other comments?
If I understand it, but they did get a higher salary than what was proposed in the salary study.
So the COF was a COF study, and that was completed in 2014?
14.
14.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question. And that cost study was agreed to by the union?
Yes. I wasn't here when it started, but I believe the union requested it and was involved in it all along the way. Is that correct? Yeah. They were requested the salary study and were heavily involved with the whole process.
Thank you.
Anything else? So we have a motion on the table. All in favor? Opposed?
No.
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 Nay. So it looks like abstention, 2 abstentions, Commissioner Hauser and Commissioner Howell. Did you vote? Yes. Yeah. So the rest of the commission voted no. 2.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So we have one more. Oh, we have the, wait, sorry, I'm sorry. Commissioner Garcia, we'll get to that. Keep overlooking it. So that takes us to half of 10.1, the March 19th, 2018 minutes for correction or comment. Commissioner Garcia?
Yes, I asked Acting Director Gray for an update on Roseland, and at that time she said she had made a phone call, and please correct me if I'm wrong, and there was no response yet. And I'd like that to be recorded in the minutes of March 19th. Oh, you want the line. You want the line, okay.
Where should we put it?
Where should we put it? Because she addressed it at the beginning of her report. It should be right before that.
9.2.
It could either be...
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it could be, 9.1, where that begins, because she responded to my request at that time. Line 308.
So there was a question about the Rohnert Park Cotati Library HVAC system. Maybe it should come after that paragraph or before that paragraph?
No, I think it would be, because it was at the beginning of her report that she addressed the issue. And that would be, 3. Lunch break meeting. I believe that would be 308. No, it wouldn't be.
Oh, wait, there it says line 313 on page 8 or 23, it says Interim Director Gray also provided the commission with a brief update regarding the status of the Roseland Library.
Okay, then I stand corrected. For,
Oh,
no, that's
but-
for Roanoke Park.
No, Roseland Library, stating that she met with a Community Development Commission representative.
And thank
So
you,
could-
I stand corrected, then I so
No,
move.
no, but that wasn't about the heating. So was your question about the heating system?
Yes, the
Yes, so
heating.
then a sentence could be added on to, after that.
That'd be fine.
Sentence that says that you also inquired about the heating system. And what else did you want included in it? Okay,
Yeah, and then she said that she had made contact with CDC.
okay. Commissioner McKenzie.
Yeah, I had a few things. On page 5 or 20, line 222, I want to suggest that we add the word lease templates. We add the word lease, which is what has been sent to the county and city of Santa Rosa. Also, line 262, the hours will have been increased by 35% using Measure Y funds, which again I think is very important for everyone to recognize. It will, not would, but will be increased. On the following page 7, I'm not going to bring that one up, never mind. But on page 10, on line 420, Commissioner McKenzie shared that she was impressed by the budget process this year and glad that the staff looked at the priorities. I actually said something more like the staff took into consideration and responded to commissioners' priorities, because I think that's really the important change this year. And line 425, these funds will be assigned, delete catch-all category and change it to capital expenditures without line item specified. And then I had one more, which is line 434. CFO Neiman clarified that this is the Friends Foundation bequest, couldn't be whatever. That I would suggest that be changed to, he clarified that these are funds from the Friends Foundation and bequest. Thank you.
So I make a motion that with these changes, we approve.
All right.
Second.
Second. Okay, so Garcia and McKenzie, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I abstain. Ebright? You should abstain too, Reese.
Hawaii.
And Foxen also abstains. So Ebright and Foxen abstain because they weren't present. Okay, so Commissioner May.
Yes, I have a comment about, I just want some clarity. In my sense of what we've been doing, these minutes are basically supposed to be summary minutes that essentially the recordings of the meeting are the actual minutes for the meeting. And I can understand that that it's important to get the actual phrasing and so forth in. But if that's the case, that the minutes are going to be the historical aspect of what happens at the meetings, do we need to continue to record them? Just my question.
Commissioner McKenzie.
My comment back. We know that in Jane's absence, these minutes were done by Jaylene, which in a much more detailed way. And so this was kind of one time. But I felt that since they were detailed, that they should be corrected in the detailed manner. But I think we're going back to the summary ones.
Okay.
Now.
More summary. Okay, great. All right. Thank you for mentioning that. So that takes us to item 14.1, Library Advisory Board appointments. And I just want to reiterate that this format is slightly different from how have done it, and so it was requested that we do separate resolutions for each library branch board appointment. To do this properly, we're going to have to read the motions out. So we have the first one. Do you want to take the first one, Commissioner Foxen, since it's Cloverdale?
Okay, I move by resolution that the Sonoma County Library Commission appoint the following applicant to the terms as listed. Richard Green to a position on the Cloverdale Library Advisory Board for terms ending on June 30th, 2022.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? All right. So then, Carla, Commissioner Howell, do you want to take Healdsburg's appointee?
I move by resolution that the Sonoma County Library Commission appoint the following applicant to the term as listed: Paul Grill to a position on the Healdsburg Library Advisory Board for a term ending on June 30th, 2022.
All in favor?
Oh, you need a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Second.
So we have Commissioner May seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay?
And I'm going to abstain.
I'm abstaining.
Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3 opposed, and we have 2 abstentions, Commissioner McKenzie and Commissioner Ebright. So we have Commissioner McKenzie and Commissioner Ebright are abstaining. Commissioner Garcia, Commissioner Whistler, and Commissioner Neff are voting no. And
Voting yes.
so we have Commissioner May, Commissioner Heavenridge, Commissioner Foxen, and Commissioner Hauser are voting, and Commissioner Howell
In favor.
are in favor. Correct. 5 in favor.
3 against and 2 abstentions. Does that mean?
I think it fails
Why does it fail?
because we don't have a majority voting in favor.
Perhaps 6.
Okay. So then we have
Santa Rosa Library, I move by resolution that the Sonoma County Library Commission appoint the following applicant to the term as listed. Bruce Hartman to a position on the Santa Rosa Library Board for terms ending on June 30th, 2022.
I second.
So that's Commissioner Ebright seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right. So I move by resolution that the Sonoma County Library Commission appoint the following applicant, Gabriel Yazzolino, a youth member, to a position on the Sebastopol Library Advisory Board for a term ending on June 30th, 2020.
Second?
So that's Commissioner McKenzie seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? All right. All right, I think that takes us to items to include in commission notes.
The
new brochures.
New brochure.
Full of the budget.
Yeah. Budget approval. We have the budget approval to include in the notes, and we have the new brochures.
When's the last time we got notes? I haven't seen one for a while, so maybe we can go with what we came up with the last time.
Right, I don't think it was sent out recently.
Yeah.
So, okay, so then just add those 2 items.
Yeah.
And so, agenda items for future commission meetings, item 16. Just to remind you that on the May agenda, we will have the DACA resolution. And we're going to have a discussion about commission meeting times and locations. That'll be on. Other items?
I would like to see some discussion sometime about the JPA agreement and the bylaws.
Okay, so maybe you can clarify to me exactly what you want that discussion. You don't have to do it tonight. We can talk about it. Anything else, Commissioner May?
I don't know, maybe the June meeting or the July meeting, I would like to review legal representation, issues regarding legal representation. Issues regarding legal representation.
Okay. Did I see your hand, Commissioner Foxen?
Do we need to review our bylaws? We've had them for like 4 years now.
Well, they were updated a couple of years ago, but
Please use your microphone.
I asked if we needed to review our bylaws and update them.
we did update them a couple of years ago. Commissioner Neff would probably remember that because I think you chair that committee, but it is something that we talked about recently that we need to take a look at them again. And there are some things that they need to
I was on
have.
the committee too, I believe, with Tim.
It was less than 4 years ago that we did some
We
changes.
changed the date for the election of the chair. That was the change we made.
Yeah.
Right, so we should, review them and
Review the whole
pull together a committee again. Other things, okay.
Just clarification, so the new appointees to the commission, and there will be at least 3, as I understand it, their first meeting would be August.
Correct.
Right? And so people have talked about bringing in people a little bit early so they can come up to date or whatever. Do we have any information from any of the jurisdictions about when they are appointing?
Well, Sebastopol has already posted their vacancy, so it depends on who applies, of course, and I think that they're anticipating having somebody appointed by June, if everything goes well. And you, Petaluma?
I've spoken with my city manager, and they blanketly make all their appointments at the first meeting in June.
So,
aide to the chair of the Board of Supervisors, and she says right now they'll be looking at it, but there's nothing firm.
Okay.
So would the expectation be that if the appointees were appointed in June, a couple months before, that they would be coming to the meetings and kind of getting up to speed? I'm just, hoping.
That's a perfect world, yeah.
And then I hope that we can have some training, some consolidated training on things like
Yes,
Brown Act
I
and all
have
that
spoken with our legal counsel, Janet Corey Summer, and she is willing to do training. But I think that we have in the past, the administration has done some portion of the training, and there's a binder of things for the commissioners to have. And so it might be good to have some commissioners volunteer to be mentors. Anything else, or shall we call it a night? So the next regular meeting is Monday, May 7th at 6:30 p.m. here in the Santa Rosa City Council chambers, and we adjourn at 9:33.
Let me tell you something. If you
Thank you, everybody.
I talked to ANCAP today because of this thing. I need to recuse myself. And so I was telling her how we didn't have protocols and blah, blah, blah. We got into this whole thing about leases and everything else. Anyway, her point is that we need to have updated bylaws which would specify what leases should say.